All right. I hereby call this regular Board of Education meeting to order. Madam Secretary, can you please call the roll?
John Lorenzen,
Here.
Brendan Murphy,
Here.
Peter Petrity,
Here.
Jillian Phelps here, John Ruggles,
Here.
Fred Stepstrom,
Here.
and Lisa Booster here.
Right. Let's rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Yeah, right on time.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any public comments?
No, we don't.
All right. Do we have any addition of non-action items? All right, action items. 6A. Have any questions, comments, concerns?
It seems like most of the same stuff, just updating things, getting rid of footnotes, updating footnotes. Nothing was major in here, at least that I could figure out.
And is that what, yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty standard, it seems.
okay, then can I get a motion to approve the board policies listed in 6A?
So moved. Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passed. All right, 6B, approval of Superintendent Jason Lynn base salary increase of 3% for FY 24 from FY 23 base salary. Do we have any comments, questions, concerns? Okay,
I move to approve Superintendent Jason Lynn base salary increase of 3% for FY 24 from FY 23 base salary.
second. Need a roll call.
Brendan Murphy,
Yes.
Peter Petrini,
Yes.
Jillian Phelps. Yes. John Ruggles,
Yes.
Fred Stepstrom,
Present.
Lisa Wooster. Yes. And John Lorenzen.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. 6C, approve the subscription to the IASA compliance plus support. Questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, so there's a lot we can do with $5,000, $5,200. We're constantly asking teachers to pay out of their own pocket for classroom supplies. We give them $100, but data shows they spend anywhere between $400 and $800, even $1,000, especially for new teachers. Something that's going to make a couple people's jobs a lot easier. I see little difference between a school teacher paying out of pocket for their classroom and some of the administrators paying out of pocket for this. It's to make their individual jobs easier. We could, about estimating 54 classroom teachers, say 6 per grade, 9 grades, we could double the $100 that every teacher gets for classroom supplies. We could pay for tissues for the entire school year instead of having parents buy 2 boxes per kid. It's not an expense that I think we need to pay.
How much time would it save you guys over the course of the year? You have an estimate?
I don't know because I wouldn't be able to track that until we do it. But my low estimate would be 80 hours easily between the administrative team. So, can I respond to that idea, Fred? So I would look at it completely different than that. I appreciate that perspective of it, because if that were the case, I wouldn't ask for the money. It's not, my job is not going to be any easier whether I get this or not, but I will be spending my time differently. So there's only so much time in the day that we can be here, there's limits to this. I would rather spend that time supporting teachers and giving them what they need and working on committees and planning and all the other pieces, communicating, than compliance. So I'm simply asking the board to say, can we take some money, additional money, and shift it so that our roles are not spent as long on compliance? There's still gonna be a lot. It's still a big piece of my job. It's not gonna make my job easier. So in other words, I'm not, this isn't gonna cause me to spend any more or less time at work. The time is the time, but it's gonna shift my job responsibility. So I would agree with you from your perspective on if it was a supply needed for making my job easier, yes. Agree. That's not what I'm anticipating that this would be. Because the job has to get done, period.
Yeah, it's not a clock in, clock out 40 hours a week and you do it till it's
No.
done, yeah.
It's a little bit different, so it's not, to me, it's not comparing apples to apples or can I just want to say why I'm asking for money.
And we have a $200,000 deficit. You said move it around from one, like where would it be coming from? Do we know? Or add to the deficit?
For this year's budget,
Yes.
hopefully we won't, but yes, if that turns out to be the case, it would come out of our fund balances.
Can I add a little bit more too? You had mentioned new teachers, so things that you wouldn't easily be able to see looking at that budget document. New teachers, there's money set aside every year so that teachers fresh out of college, if they need additional supplies to set up their room, that money is there. And then special ed teachers or special ed personnel, they also have access to various grants in which they can get a lot of their supplies. So it's more than just the $100 in it for certain populations in the budget there too.
I look at it a little bit differently. I think anything to do with compliance, if we miss something, will cost us 10 times more than that, probably, maybe more. And again, I haven't gotten as, you probably have gotten into this deeper than I have. When we're talking about compliance, that's usually with hefty penalties. I think this is relatively small. I also think, without you even saying that I was gonna jump in and say that, but you've gotten deeper into this than I did, so before I, take the opposite side of that. Just the word compliance and helping to comply with something, I would want to look at if we missed something because we didn't have this, what it would cost us as opposed to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Insurance essentially.
basically, yes. My view is manpower, so you have Carly, you have Jason, Ronnie works on it, right? Does she do the compliance stuff or no, is it just you two?
Everybody in administration does some form of compliance.
Some
because
form of
it's attendance forms, it's discipline forms, it's every piece of our
Yeah.
operations touches one aspect or another.
So for me, it's more like small change to give them a hand. Like when they changed the GCN training, which is all like teacher training you go through every year for like bloodborne pathogens and all these different things. It made it infinitely harder it made it easier on the teachers, but harder to track with the admin. So now it's like, where does that time come from? So I don't know if there's anything that can help them. That's my view on it.
Any other comments? Concerns? A motion?
I move to approve the subscription to the IASA Compliance Plus support. I second it.
Roll call, Madam Secretary?
Peter Petrini,
Yes.
Jillian Phelps.
Yes.
John Ruggles.
Yes.
Brad Stetron,
No.
Lisa Worcester. Yes. John Lorenzen,
Yes.
Brandon Murphy,
Yes.
motion passed.
6D, approve the master facilities planning with Wool.
I move to approve the master facilities plan with Wolf.
Second.
Second, Madam Secretary.
Jillian House,
Yes.
John Ruggles,
Yes.
Brad Skettrum,
Yes.
Lisa Wooster,
Yes.
John Lorenzen,
Yes.
Brandon Murphy,
Yes.
Peter Petrorini,
Yes.
motion passed.
All right. Approve the subscription of Thought Exchange.
This is one of those big expenses that I don't think we need, you know, it was used a couple times this week, Jason sent out that thing, but the last time before, it looked like it was October. You know, and if it's not gonna get used, I just don't. It's hard to get $18,000 and do a lot with that.
I agree with you, just my 2 cents, but I do agree that maybe we can give it one more year. That's where I stand. If we don't get this sort of use on it, because I was prepared to vote no too until we talked last time. But if we're gonna use it differently, then we think we're gonna get more out of it this time. I think that's what we talked about last time, maybe.
Right, I
Maybe
would
give
say
it one more
both,
shot.
yeah,
And then see how it goes and.
I think it's like really expensive, but I'm willing to give it a year, see if we use it more, and I also really like the point that Lynn made, that even getting 30% of the community for. Involved, even if it's, 30%. What else can you do for $18,000? It's even gonna get that 30%, so. I'm willing to approve it for another year and see how it goes.
Yeah, I want to approve it as well, based on what Dr. Lynn said. There was actually from the teachers, when they came to the safety audit, it was actually really interesting to hear some of their
Yeah,
comments.
that's pretty cool.
One of the comments that I actually wanted to ask you, Dr. Lynn, one of them was overwhelmed and practice. And to me, I think that was really, candid of them to say this is an overwhelming audit. And like, I think it's a big ask that we ask teachers, right? Is safety, especially in this climate. But were you guys, I guess I want to know what's the plan after that? Like, are you going to talk to some of the teachers to see, like, I'm curious if it's a more of a younger teacher that's brand new in their career that's overwhelmed, or if it's the process of just kind of thinking like, if something was to happen, what's the drill?
Right, so the follow-up from the thought exchange aspect of it.
Yeah.
So we take those comments back, we'll look at it as an administrative team, this is what we've done in the past and said, okay. When we prepare for our September early dismissal is our next. Professional development time, and that is set aside for safety planning with Navigate Prepared, which is the app that we use. So we started with the app, and what we did is we showed the teachers everything the app can do.
Mhm.
And there was a session with that. It was basically 20 minutes. All we wanted them to do is load it on their phone. They have to become proficient at that and know where that is on their phone. So the next step then is to make sure that they can get into it and get to a roster of their classroom. Or if they don't have a roster, or if they don't have a classroom roster, there's a way to choose every child so that every child who's in the building that day is listed. And it's updated live so that we know who's in and who's out. Eventually, what it can do is roster all of our staff to make sure that they're safe, because one of the gaps that we have is making sure that all the adults in the building are safe. We do a pretty good job of rostering our kids on a daily basis and taking attendance and making sure. But for substitute teachers and other teachers who are itinerant teachers who are in the building just for brief periods of time, we need to have a way for them to be rostered, because when we go outside, we're not holding up a green card or a red card if we're missing one of them. We may not, what if they're in the bathroom someplace and didn't hear the announcements while the drill is going on, or heaven forbid something worse? We need to know if they're in the building, and this would alert them on their phone of what's going on, and it's a communication piece with them, so everybody gets the same information all at the same time. And eventually, so we're rolling this out slowly throughout the year. And so we kind of showed them what it's going to do, and it's very overwhelming at first. And at the same time, we're still keeping our old system in place until we are proficient enough to flip over to this system, because we have to keep it safe today. So I'm overwhelmed with it myself, really. It's a lot. But once it's in place and once people are proficient enough, it should be. You don't have to keep logging in, some of people are having a hard time getting the app loaded on their phone. And then we're sending it through our system in our school and getting that logged in. Not everybody had a login. Some people were so new to the district that were hired the day before, or CEDAL employees, they didn't have a Millburn email even yet, and they hadn't cycled through our power school system. All these systems and background have to be placed. Anyway, long story short, they were struggling a little bit. But after it's set up, now I just hit it. And it opens right up and I can start an emergency right there. That's it.
Don't show us.
We have a lot of talk about, just don't hit the red button.
Thank you, Dr.
Circling back to thought exchange, so I hope with that. I know I wouldn't, I hope we use that as a support for decisions we make as opposed to the driving factor behind it. Oh, we got 60% of people on thought exchange say this is a great idea, when it's only 30% of our population responding to it. As long as we keep it in context and use as support for our decision making, I'm totally comfortable with it.
I'd like to see it more with the teachers too. Like, I think that's a natural tool, and I like the fact that most of them responded and had thoughtful things to say. And it's a tool we have. I think if it goes beyond 18K, which it's probably going to, then I might get a little iffy, like next year, if it's up to 20 something, like. Then you're using it for everything, Who's wearing white shoes today? Like, I mean, then I might have to change how I feel about it, but I see the value in it now if we're getting 30% from the community. Ideally, it'd be cool if we could get those people who don't have kids here on there, but that's a different issue that, outreach is a different issue.
I get it. So if you vote yes, I will spend more time with community outreach so you guys can see it and show you what we're doing. We did more with the teachers last year too. It wasn't just a couple of one-offs, but they weren't. I didn't use it as much last year as I had in previous years. That is for sure. So I apologize for that.
Okay.
I will send one out. If you approve it, I will send one out tomorrow to the parents about parent engagement. So we're looking for ideas of getting parents back engaged with the school. What we're seeing is not as many people showing up for things, whether it be a epic event or conferences. And this week, the middle school is doing their parent nights, back to school nights on Wednesday and Thursday night. So they're doing raffles to get things going and get things moving. But I want to also reach out to parents to let them know how important it is for them to show up at school. It's huge. And I know we're all busy, but it seemed like we were able to fit it in before. And now it seems less of a priority, and I want to figure out what it is. If we can do anything to make it easier for people.
I move to approve the subscription of Thought Exchange.
In a second,
Second,
Madam Secretary.
John Ruggles,
Yes.
Fred Skepstrom,
No,
Lisa Wooster,
Yes.
John Lorenzen,
Yes.
Brendan Murphy,
yes,
Peter Petrorini,
Yes.
and Jillian Phillips. Yes. Motion passed.
On to the consent agenda. Any questions, comments, concerns?
these the new laptops we got on there. Did we get a new laptop on the bill payment? This
I
new one?
didn't I think I have one somewhere. I haven't changed. it
Oh,
yet.
okay.
I
Yeah,
don't
just,
want a new one,
Oh, okay. Good, no,
but the tech department wants my old one.
You have to load up all that stuff on your desktop.
Yeah, that switches are pretty easy.
Now, Apple products are notoriously more expensive. Are we an Apple district because of like iPad program? Was that the main driver for it, getting those in the hands of the students and, and I believe because last month's, bill payments, we also bought a bunch of new teachers, like $4,000 laptops. Apple's 100 billion in profit last year, so we're over 385 billion sales. So that's over 25%. That's just giving away free money. But is it like the one-to-one iPad that we were going for versus other tablets or?
So I think there might be two questions in there. Which came first? We were an Apple district going back to before my time. Before I started here. Because of some of the applications of computers, and now I think they've merged a little bit. Better, so everything's a little bit more interchangeable and maybe a little bit better for when you're talking just desktops, laptops. But what we find is that we get more years out of the usage of the devices than maybe a non-Apple product. They're good machines. They don't take a lot of maintenance and repair and upkeep. That's the main reason we don't have a lot of staff to repair things like that.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure all the high schools we feed into are all using Google Chromebooks for their students.
For their students.
Yeah.
So for the students,
So like we're training them on Apple system for 8 years and then they go to high school, now they have to learn a whole new operating system.
correct.
It's kind of like a workforce, like a workplace, like some place might be
It's
Apple,
cool.
another might be a Google. I mean, it's like a life skill. You can make it, like teachers might say it's a life skill to have an Apple and then eventually you gotta change over to. I do both, like I have an Apple iPhone for work, but then I have an Android for my personal and things like that, so. I get what you're saying, but it's also like a nice life skill to grow and like manage different systems. It actually helps their portfolio as a employee.
Does it work well with what we do here, like K-8? Because I had high school experience using the iPad and it was the biggest mistake ever. They should have gone with Chromebooks. All of our apps were powered by that, but somebody was Yahoo Apple, and then it took a lot of like backdoor this, that, the other to get it. I mean, how does it work for us?
Sure, we could have a presentation on that at some point.
I'm just looking for a quick answer. I mean, does it work really well, like with the apps that we use?
It depends on who you ask. Everybody has a preference.
All right.
As far as the device goes and the cost of ownership per device, Apple is a much more cost-effective product for us than the what is it? PC,
Yeah,
Chromebook,
yeah.
whatever, we wouldn't use Chromebook, but whatever the tablet. Chromebook, probably use Chromebooks. So a Chromebook, depending on what level you get to get the same comparable level, is gonna be about $50 difference per device, and they don't last as long. Interesting. And they don't have value after 3 years. So after 3 years of a Chromebook, or 4 years, the high school gets 4 years out of them because they give them as freshmen and you keep it until your senior year, the same one. And it's done by the time they're seniors, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And have no value. There's no value left. Whereas after 4 years of an iPad, we would be able to get $100 to $150 per audit. In fact, the last time we did an exchange, not this year, but the prior cycle a couple years ago, I wasn't gonna get new ones. I was gonna wait, but I think we had 3-year-old devices at that time, and they quoted me $200 per device, and the new ones cost $384 at that time.
That's good.
I said, yes, please.
Unless they were 184 before they gave you the 200. Well, they, without the trade in there, 184, the 384 with the $200 trade.
Right. So the value is there. So I did a lot of research on it when we first did this way back. When? Now 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. Because I wanted to have a good answer for the same questions. And the cost of ownership of an iPad is less than a MacBook.
Thank you.
That's the clear, quick answer. How are they working in the classroom and comparing the two? They're just different. I don't even know how you could.
Yeah,
Depends on the grade level, depends on the teacher, depends on preference of the kid.
programs, all that, or
Programs, all
apps
that
rather,
stuff.
yeah.
I think Jillian brings up a good point I didn't think about, because that is a good life skill, because if you put me
Yeah.
on a different platform, I'd be lost.
Yeah.
So it is good to be able to do that.
Any other questions regarding the 6F?
Any reasons why these people resigned? Just found better opportunities.
From what I've heard, I think the MBA counselor, we often see, that position come and go. People are going back to college, so that's.
Same with substitutes and temporary.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so what I've heard was, they were offered, some of our substitutes have been offered a full-time positions.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So maybe as teachers, I'm not sure if it's specifically these two, but I did hear from Veronica that they're getting full-time.
Nothing that we did though.
Nope.
I don't know.
Drove them out.
I don't know that I've met either one of those two. I'm not sure. So I think they were just hired and then got new jobs.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second,
Madam Secretary?
Fred Stepstro,
yes.
Lisa Worcester,
Yes.
John Lorenzen,
Yes.
Brendan Murphy,
Yes.
Peter Petrini,
Yes.
Jillian Bell,
Yes.
and John Ruggles.
Yes,
Motion passed.
Information discussion, security audit.
Okay, we're at the last. Meeting, we talked again about getting a potential security audit done from a firm. In the meantime, I was. Tasked, I've been trying to get a hold of other companies that do this in the area. I finally made some headway. Even as late as tonight. Actually talking to a person, so I found out last week that. Big Hollow had done one. And I got their information from them and the price was considerably lower than what we're looking at. Sweet, here we go. I called that firm, finally got a hold of them Friday. They don't do it anymore.
Oh,
Because the two gentlemen that were working for them in Illinois, they're a company it's a national company, they're both coasts and in the middle. So. They got different jobs, so. Then I talked to the superintendent from Villa and they're having one done next week by one of them. I said, can I have their number? Cause I can't get a hold of them. No one's called me back and. It's taking forever. So I got his cell number, called him, he answered tonight. And so he'll give us a proposal. One of the same gentlemen that did it at Big Hollow. So he's been doing it since the nineties. He's nationally known and. Lives local, but is nationally known and really good. So we'll get a different quote for that. I think that's important to get moving on, but.
maybe we
I'm
get
glad
that
we- I'm
5,200
glad we
back.
yeah, there you go.
I'm glad we waited.
So at the safety meeting, not the safety meeting, the parent safety there were folks who were very adamant about being willing to fundraise for security things.
Yep.
Is this something that they would be willing to write a check for? Does anybody have a good relationship with any of them or? You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, Matt and the rest of his block, it seemed like you know, brought the whole block into that, so.
I remember that meeting and I was gonna reach out to him. I actually bumped into him at the registry or the drop off night. We didn't have time to talk to each other, but I'm definitely gonna follow up on that because. It sounded like they could raise a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if they're raising all kinds of money, they're gonna wanna keep saying, hey, you know. They don't have the final say, but they're gonna wanna say in that, so. That's something I don't mind helping them out with either, because that's. You know, when you hear about stuff today that happened today, it just. Freaks me out sometimes, so, yeah, I will definitely reach out to them, I think you know them too, right? Liz?
Yeah, I seen that pickup. He's got the hybrid Ford Maverick. I almost went with that one.
I think they're willing to do it, someone's just gotta ask or put together a plan.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
All right. Budget.
Right. we have to approve the budget by at the second September meeting. So we have today to talk about it. If there's any questions, we have the next committee of the whole meeting to talk about it. If you have any questions, you can call Carly or myself between times. Please ask questions. I know Carly loves talking about the budget. I seriously love talking about the budget and school finance. So if you have questions, we're happy to answer. So are there anything?
Your agenda items, now 2023 budget. Done. Approval of parent student handbook.
Okay, so our student handbook is currently online, but our principal will make a presentation. It says pending board approval on it, so it was completed this summer. Now the principals every year present that to the board and kind of give a highlight of what's changed, talk about especially the middle school dress code, which is always a hot topic, and was especially a hot topic this year. And they'll be able to explain all the changes and what to do, and then the board can ask questions about it and then approve it at the September meeting.
Were there significant changes that you know of?
In the dress code.
Yeah. Was it that bad, really? Middle school?
My daughter's excited she can wear hats.
Oh, oh,
Really?
That's inside. This is what's coming to.
I didn't know you couldn't.
I didn't know that we changed it where you can.
Find out.
I'll have to find.
Cool.
I know a lot of schools say you can't wear your hoodies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well, they also,
Hat
you
and
couldn't wear
hoodie
hats
over it.
either because someone wear it
Right.
sideways or behind them, it just is. And then sometimes a different color.
as long as it's not a distraction.
Superintendent report.
Okay, so I did talk to Dr. Carner about the Waukegan lawsuit. I think Fred brought that up. The only thing didn't know about it until I asked him about it. So it must not be too big. He forwarded me the article from May in the Tribune.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
That's apparently when it was announced and they approved, the board must have approved joining forces with,
Yeah.
it must be a national lawsuit with bigger firms. So I can look into it further if you'd like, or I could just keep my ears open for now and see what.
Yeah, just keeping the ears open, because I don't wanna, spend money on the
Yeah.
lawyers for something that's gonna be tied up for who knows how long. It might go nowhere, but it was immediate, and we had a ticking clock to get in on it. Yeah, just keep an ear open is what I said.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. Other than that, we're into our second week of school, the drop off. I guess I could get feedback from you guys if it's gotten better yet, but
Ellie did drop off.
it's great for you.
My wife drops off and she came back furious a couple times. Not for the school, for the people on the road,
Yeah,
Right,
because they line up in the road and they don't. If you're trying to turn left out of the front. And you have a line there. People are trying to get to work, so they're not really
Oh, they're not letting
letting
people in on that.
So,
Yeah, you drive by and they're all like pretty upset and you can tell they're trying to get to work or something and they're just backed up pretty far back. So. I don't know if it's gonna improve in time, but
I timed it today, the only time it was stopped once where there was a little bit of backup, but maybe it was a little bit better this morning. It was a minute. It was no longer than a minute, what people had to say.
yeah, I
It
don't
did
think the
take- 'cause-
problem is the sitting. I think it's the problem that gets so backed up, people can't get down that road.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
They're
Oh, like those people are just waiting
Yeah.
a minute.
up on, it'd be Millburn Road, right by the cemetery, along
Okay.
the cemetery there. It was, it starts to back up a little bit and people
Right.
are sitting there. It could have been more than anybody waiting a minute.
Oh, okay.
that's not bad then.
That's not, it wasn't today, it wasn't bad, so I don't know if fewer people are dropping off because it's more of a pain or. It just flowed well, but I think we'll get the timing down, if we can get the buses. The last bus came through at 52, which kind of doesn't help. But by the time she was in, it was already rolling.
So you must have been better. I didn't get yelled at today.
We'll time it and make it as smooth as possible.
Have there
She's
been,
not she's not complaining about the school at all. She's complaining about how someone won't stop to let the next person in. Turning right's easy.
But it's
Right.
better. What I did notice today that I didn't think about is when we go out of here and you take a right turn or left turn, there's 2 lanes. So all the left turn people last year would jam it up. So if you had somebody trying to come make a left turn off of Crawford to Millburn. That could take a long time if somebody didn't stop and let somebody in.
Yep,
That.
And the other
that
buses
would
coming
back
in.
Everybody up, so you'd see the traffic flowing because everybody's going right. Then you get a left-hand and turn there, and it would stop and it would back it all the way
Yeah,
back to
that's
the
true.
other parking lot. Now, people can still take rights. Even if you can't take a left or backs up a little bit, so that I think would be helpful.
I think I saw it last year, just for like a couple weeks, like somebody rolled out a flashing red and blue light. Did it get like hit by a car or something? Like
to
for,
stop the people.
yeah,
going
well,
that
just to
way.
like warn people to slow down, and then after a few weeks, I noticed it wasn't getting rolled out there anymore, so I assumed like,
it's
somebody
from the
hit this.
county and
Oh.
yeah, they only have a couple in the county, so they're shared
yeah.
wherever. everybody else.
I sneak.
Called early.
So the options we have for this road is we can recommend or request that this be a school zone and that it be reduced to a 30-mile-an-hour zone. We think we can get that approved permanently. So it's always a 30. And then police officers sheriff's department can pull people over if they're going more than 30 through that zone, no matter when. Because right now it says during school hours and it's down to 20, but people don't know what school hours are. And they can't enforce it down to 20. It's too difficult to enforce for whatever reason. So people flying through there and expect to fly through there. If we can get them consistently and then put up maybe some brighter signs with flashing.
Or
We
maybe
talked about all kinds of different.
instead of
ideas.
school hours, how about when children are present? They
Yes,
do that a lot.
that's the Same, they
That's the
can't.
same
No,
thing.
same thing.
They said, he tried to explain it to me and the sheriff's department explained it to me. They said, you're better going with a consistent 30-mile-an-hour zone. It's 30 miles an hour across there is still pretty slow.
Doesn't Hooper do that though? They lower it when
They
children. are
lowered it to
present.
30 actually.
But,
30 to 20 children.
Yeah.
you know, you can see kids. At Hooper, a lot easier than
Yeah, you don't see anybody in
True.
front of here, you know.
Can they just do some flashing lights?
Well, we-
Turn on when school hours are on, so when the lights are flashing, still on.
Yes, I looked into that. The problem with that is we would have to make sure that it was working. Because the minute it was flashing when there wasn't school or was school. And something happened, we'd be in trouble. I don't want to be the one responsible for flipping the switch on that one. Could we we can request, and all these, the county would have to approve, and it'll take some time, but it's on my longer list of do things, but they would, I think having a flashing sign with a solar battery, and I don't care if we pay for it or not. If we can get something on either end, especially coming from east to west. People don't see that around
The curve.
corner, around the
Mhm.
curve,
Yeah.
people are pulling out. People get so mad there and I'm like, you're going more than you're supposed to be.
I've been passed.
Yeah, you really?
Yeah, I've been passed here.
That's not.
I've been passed at BJ Hooper.
Jeez.
They're just,
Someone looking to get a ticket.
yeah,
I think the front is better though, because even on Crawford, we would back ourselves up with the other buses who were dropping off. Cause they would have to come into the exit lanes, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
They would come in, first of all, you'd have to let them in. And they drop off at 2 or 3 of them in a row, you feel bad, you let them all out. And a lot of those were going left. So you hated to get behind one of those, but I think the front is the best way to go.
It seems to be going better, a little bit better.
For the junior high or middle school coming west to east, there's now like a sign that lights up showing you your speed. Did Lindenhurst pay for that or did we pay for that?
Yeah, and I think that's when they move around. It's a temporary.
No, that's in the ground.
It's
It
a
is?
ground one.
Yeah. Yeah, so
No,
on
that'd be
Independence Boulevard, yeah, coming west to east.
By Oxford, just,
Yeah,
that's actually right
yeah.
at the end of my lane. I've just noticed that.
Yeah, that's like this, or last week it went up.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice. I don't know. Thank you, Lindenhurst.
I'll take a picture and I'll send it.
Thank you, Lindenhurst. Wonderful.
But they don't have the light there yet. The
No,
light to turn on, that could be a couple more months yet. They're waiting on parts.
oh yeah, it's gotten hit, like,
You can't see if that light's not
Times,
there
yeah.
when you turn them left into that lane.
coming from 45 on Independence to one of those streets, yeah.
Business office report.
All right. Okay, so transportation claim. Every year, school district needs to submit a transportation claim to the state. It basically looks at how many children were transported, number of miles, our usage of cabs for special ed and homeless students. Looks at what we've spent over the previous year. So I submitted the transportation claim in August. And it was for the 22-23 fiscal year, but it gives us a reimbursement for transportation in the 23-24 fiscal year. So the district's estimated reimbursement for regular transportation is just over 445,000, and for special ed, 311,000 that we expect and hope to receive this fiscal year. Last year, we received 540,000 for regular transportation and 191,000 for special ed. And then over the next couple of months, the state looks at the reimbursement claim that was submitted. They may send it back with questions or they'll approve it. Just update, we've onboarded everyone. We got through Faith's Law successfully. Jumping down to site-based expenditure reporting. So here's another report that public schools are required to submit every year. Basically is showing how much a district spends per site, so per school, and per pupil. And eventually this data is put onto the school report card, just so that it's public knowledge. And then very last is just that budget calendar that we've been looking at, as Dr. Lynn stated. Please feel free to reach out with questions on the budget, and the board will need to adopt it on September 25th at the September 25th board meeting. So,
Board reports.
I went to something.
I know, I saw you.
I saw you. The Epic ice cream, like, welcome back.
Yeah,
It was awesome. I mean, it was like super cool. There was a lot of people there, tons of kids there just ripping around. Lots of parents. Jason, you were there. I didn't get a chance to talk to you. It was, I mean, it was, I don't know, it was exciting and it was fun. And it was really nice to be there. And it was cool. They had an ice cream truck. What's that?
Was that at the middle school?
No, it was at Millennium Park. Yeah. So there's a little playground there and like an awning and all that stuff.
Okay, how was it?
Weren't you?
I think my wife was there.
Yeah, your wife.
I think your
was there.
wife-
I saw your wife
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, no.
I was surprised. I was like, Fred has to be here. And he wasn't. No, but I thought it was a neat, like, welcome back, and there was a ton of community members and just a successful thing. I was quite proud. It was neat. Yeah.
At CEDAL meeting last week, there was their budget hearing. Something that found interesting, 62% of their paraprofessionals work fewer than 60 days. So 180 days in a school year, they're turning over 2/3 of their paraprofessionals 3 times essentially. Yeah, they're trying to figure out how to get them to stay longer. I'm sure it's something Jason's talked about with the executives there. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Doing picture day, when we had supply drop off, I saw the little barcodes for the teachers, and it had me thinking about how on other schools' websites, you go to those board member list, you see them. I don't know if that's something we want to do, get our pictures up on the website, so when, we're at a function, we had that recognition, people in the meeting can come up and talk to us, maybe people don't want to be recognized. But if they're already here, the picture makeup day is coming soon, I'm sure. If they're already here, with the cost of taking 7 extra pictures isn't gonna, break the bank, and it just help with the community interaction there. And attended a couple webinars on the next generation science standards. Just to, familiarize myself with what's getting taught, Illinois adopted it back in like 2016 or something like that. Yeah, good information to learn. And then, you get those alerts on your phone or whatever, the news, oh, the new law is taking effect. And I saw on their school boards, as of the August 1st school year this year, are required to do 4 hours of trauma-informed practice training. So in like our para, there was only like a little module, it wasn't like a full 4. Is that like something we do through IASB, or?
I'm sure we will find out.
Yeah. The lines with that one.
Right.
And that's all. I have.
What else? All right.
I like ice cream trucks.
Ice
They're
cream was, the ice cream
fun.
was good.
I got a
Ice cream was
screwball.
Is
good.
that advertised?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We were gonna go on
If
this.
there was ice cream?
And
Well, you pay for it, but I mean, there's,
Oh,
yeah, but still, like it's ice cream truck, that's
Awesome.
brings you back,
Oh,
There's screwballs with two gumballs in them now. There's only one when I was a lad.
I do want to say I saw Epic at the Linden Fest parade with
That's right.
Float doing Star Wars.
That was sweet.
I saw elementary school principal putting on his best Darth Vader costume. and
Yeah.
scaring kids, so.
Guessing he has more than one.
He was dialed in, man. That was pretty authentic to me.
But for those of us that aren't here and are watching, please, as Dr. Lynn was talking about earlier, please consider signing up for Epic. It's a good organization, and I know we're all busy, but there are people that watching that they could always use more help. So we won't be going to closed session tonight. So I need a motion for an adjournment.
move to adjourn.
Seconds.
All right,
Third.
all in favor?
I,
All right.
dude, that was the record breaker.